Apparently there might not have been any sound there. I apologize for that. You should be hearing me now, hopefully. Gonna need some feedback on that before I can tell. Okay, yeah. Not sure why that other scene doesn't have sound. But, just to repeat, hello, welcome all Chancellor, Soldiers, and Fanatics Tower Cultists. This is Moogle's First Seed number 3, hosted by me, MrEntity, in place of Ravlin today. Gonna be going over some version 0.9 changes, some new flags that were introduced, and some stuff that Ravlin hasn't covered in the previous two. So I thought we'd just start by taking a look at this here website and what I've got set up today. That's not actually the ROM modded ROM will be available as Ravlin's are in the Discord, and I'll try to get Atma to make a preset for it. But one of the main differences you're going to notice is there's a lot of these sliders now. You can have a lot of variants. So whereas before it would have been 7, 10, and a number for dragons, today we've got between 6 and 9 characters, somewhere between 8 and 12 espers, and between 0 and 2 dragons. And that will show up at the start of the seed in a little screen that we have now, which is quite helpful. We are starting with Gao, Realm, and a random character, for reasons that will become clear once I get to the commands. We're going to be starting naked, as we all do in life. And that presents its own little problems that I'll get to at the start of the game. Another new thing here is the character stats, where I have it between 80% to 123% of stats for each character. So I might have real iffy magic on Realm. I might have really good speed on Cyan for some reason. So that's a neat new little feature. One of the things here is random uniques all over the place, except Realm is starting with Dance, and Gao is starting with Rage. Dance is so I can show off a couple things down here, and Rage is just mostly so I can show off a very interesting sheet that people who aren't familiar with Rage should have kicking around. So the dances are different now. Again, there's more of these sliders, so I'll start with between 0 and 2 dances. Shuffle abilities has been the standard for a while and has been an additional reason people didn't use dances. But now we have this. And you can see by going into the menu, as I'll show you in a bit, what abilities each dance has. I do actually have a question about it. I'm fairly certain they're listed in the approximate order of probability. Not 100% on that. And then we have this, no stumble. So previously, Mog would fall down half the time he tried to do a dance. That was in the wrong territory, and now he can just dance all over the place. This is all standard experience and gold and stuff. Enemy scaling, we're going with party highest level today, which is something Ravlin hasn't covered. So this means all enemies and bosses will be scaled to the level of whatever character in my party is the highest level. So if I have a level 40 character and a level 3 character, it's going to be level 40 enemies, and that level 3 character is going to die. They're going to be scaled element, which is the standard these days, and that just means if you're low level, they're going to use weaker versions of, not weaker versions of the same spell, but another spell of the same element, which is weaker. And we're going to a max scale of level 40 today. Scaling the 8 dragons, which I don't usually do, but today we're mixing the bosses and the dragons together, which is another new feature of version 0.9. And I took off the standard no on dead flag just for funsies, because I like being able to insta-kill things with revivifies. So bosses and dragons will be mixed together. This does have an interesting correlation with this dragons required, because as it stands right now, you have to kill specifically dragons, not the things that are in the spot where the dragon was. That'll be some random thing. And you do still get an item, like the post-battle item. You still get it for killing whatever's in that spot, but it won't necessarily be a dragon, and it won't count towards your number of dragons required. Spells, this stuff is all standard. Multi-summon is on. This is new piece of quality of life excellence. If you look in a menu, you'll know who has natural magic without having to put them in the party and try to learn stuff. This is all pretty standard, except I made the shops worse. 10% only of random stuff, and then the treasures are 100% random. I do like these new sliders for this. It allows a lot more granularity there. I've also made it so that you can't just buy a solution. No rods, no shields, no balls. Nothing really going on there. And this is the other main one, the Colosseum. Between 95 and 160 items will have a known shown reward. And that's very helpful in regards to making the Colosseum in any way valuable. And if you are going to go that route, though, make sure you turn this on, though. Because if it's off, it doesn't do anything. I'm not entirely sure why these aren't linked, but that's a thing. No Paladin Shield, no Ultima. This is another new thing I've turned on here. Event timers, I just took them off because you can randomize them. I don't know why you would, but it is a possibility now. So that's what we're going with. I have a seed already generated. So if we get this out of the way, we can start up the seed. Where is my folder? Boop, boop. And now I can put the chat in a place where I can actually see it easily. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm doing pretty good. I get to play a game. Okay, I am going to take a minute to set up my auto tracking. I will be making a short video on how to do this in the near future. Because people ask about it a lot, and the old video it's not accessible anymore. So, as you can see, 9 characters, 8 espers, 2 dragons. So the game does tell you. You can also now do your config. This is just the way I like to set it up. The one notable thing, I presume Ravlin went over this at some point, but you do want your battle speed to be 6, because it only affects enemies, weirdly. So if you put it to 6, they move much more slowly. Or I guess there are vague reasons you could put it to 1, but that's real situational and real high-level play. Most people don't ever change it. But if you wanted a really fast Zone Eater fight, put it to 1. I'm not sure how much time it'll save overall, but it's a thing. So, we also have this new hash thing in the top right, which you can use to make sure you're playing the right ROM if you're in a race or whatever, or just doing co-op play. Whatever you're doing, you can make sure everybody's on the same page. But we'll just start it up. I'll start my timer for no real reason. So, we knew we were starting with Gao and Realm. And volume's down here a little. Because the talking's a little more important today than it usually is. So, he's got Rage and Sketch. I guess Realm taught him how to do it and then forgot herself. She knows Dance. And Maud comes with help. So, Dance, there's no reason for you to be in the front row. Rage there is, and you just have health. So. First move. I still do that every time. I don't know, I'm just so used to going to the config first. This is a new feature. You can, if you don't have a tracker or you're not keeping track yourself or whatever, if you're ever wondering how much of a thing you have, instead of counting it up manually, you can just go in here and look. And that's nice. So, everybody's naked. That's something people may not know how to do. If you go to the equips or the relics and you press left, it'll select them all and you can get a quick overview. But Dance now has... Okay, I did start with one, that's good. So Earth Blues. It does those 4 things in, I'm fairly certain, that order of probability. And if I recall correctly, it's like 7 out of 16 or 9 out of 16, and then less and less, and the last one is 1. So El Nino's a pretty solid move. Harvester, one of those things, I don't know what it does. Spectres, I'm fairly certain the Confusion dance move, and Sandstorm is... It's Sandstorm, it's a thing enemies use on you. So, what are my first steps here? I have Mog, so there's the Narsh check I can do. I have Gao, I need dried meat, and the other one is fixed encounters, which I don't have any equipment, so that can be very dangerous. And Realm has her fast Esper Mountain check, and I keep wanting to call it Daryl's Tomb for some reason, but it's Azur's Mansion. But there are 2 things that are going to make me do a little more looting than I would normally do. One of them is simply, I have no clothes. And the other one is, the chests are all random. Random chests, in general, you're going to have an easier time of a seed if you have completely random chests. You might have trouble finding basic items, but there's Skenji Glove right off the bat, so I'm not going to complain. Hopefully I can find some weapons to put that to use. Kaiser, not a fantastic weapon, but it is a weapon. And as I said, I'm naked. Magicite. I don't really know what to say about Magicite. Some people will pull it out in like a very clutch moment. But it so rarely works out. There's so much garbage stuff in there, and there's Crusader. It usually doesn't do you any good. Now, I'm not going to do the Lone Wolf check right away, so I'm going to actually learn something myself today about whether, if you come back into Narsh, it remembers that you've already started that event. That'll be interesting. Thunder Shield, never complained about that. Ice Shield, a hat, a knife, a better hat. This chest, by the way, is always empty now, apparently. That's a fairly recent change that I had to be told about. There goes the wolf. We will check the clock in here. Tabby suit. Reasonable piece of armor. Now, I do know the shops are unlikely to have much good in them. Magus hat, vaguely useful as a hat. One of the only vaguely useful hats. Simply because it puts your magic stat up. There are not a lot of good hats in this game. Okay. So, probably get rid of that and that. Those are probably the 2 worst things I have, and I do want to buy some basic items. This is something people overlook a lot. A couple of those. And especially in this particular seed. It's going to be interesting to have access to a bunch of items like that. Because the Colosseum has known rewards for a lot of things. Okay. Atlas Armlet, one of the best things in the game in terms of relics that aren't, you know, obvious S tiers. So I'll try to remember those are there. Wall rings can get you out of a lot of trouble. I don't have any money yet. I'm going to go get this chest, mostly to show off that it exists. If you're doing a casual run, by all means go get it. If you're doing a race, it takes quite a while to get up there. But there's a thing in that clock. There's a few chests like that that you won't often see in a race. People often don't go out of their way for things. Enhancers might be... I mean, no one yet can equip them, but they might be useful later on. For sort of the same reason the Magus hat is. Probably throw a save. And then my standard looting pattern, I don't always go to Narsh, I often don't anymore. But I usually come here and go to South Figure. Just because they're quite dense in terms of treasure. Offering, water edge, leather hat, gold hat. So I have an offering and a Genji glove. If I can find, you know, some Valiant knives or some fixed dice or something, that's basically the entire game solved. Another Kaiser, hooray. So these are completely random chests. There's... who knows what's going to be in any of them. That's why I said you might... usually in a run you'll find... this is another chest I don't usually go out of my way for, but it does exist. And the chests are random, and today it's a snow muffler. So in random chests, there is a lot more reason to go out of your way to get something. Could be awful, but there's a better chance than in the base game than with base stuff that it'll be good. Tonics I will get because they're cheap, and sometimes you just need a way to heal. Dried meat I will buy actually a few of. One I need it for Gao, and the other ones will just go towards maybe Coliseuming. Smoke bombs, very useful for fixed encounters. You can get away faster with them if it's something rough. And tents are tents. If you don't know what a tent is, I don't know how much I can teach you. I guess on the way to my other standard looting spot, I'll show off a chest most people don't seem to know even exists. If you go to Sabin's house, which is Duncan's house in the World of Ruin, and you look in this pocket. In this case, there's an ice shield. So yay, that's an item. Again, not really race viable, but if you were playing casually, there's no real reason not to go out of your way to get it. And then we're on to South Figaro. The most popular... well, no, if you start with Terra, you're gonna see a lot of people go to the Sealed Gate before they come here. But 13k and a drill and an Excalibur is a pretty decent start. People often deride the Excalibur, and it's not amazing, but it is a very good stat stick at the end of the game. Well, a pretty good stat stick. And at the start of the game, it is a fairly powerful sword. We have earrings. One of the most important relics there are. I'm gonna grab a couple of them because most of dance is magic related. I'm also going to now look through these. Okay. So, this is a point I'm going to show off something. Boop. If you're starting out and you don't know much about Rage, this sheet is available in the Discord in the guides repository. It's very, very useful. Basically, I put them by grade. I think they're like that standardly, but I did have it not organized that way somehow in the past. But you can just look up whatever you've got, alright? So I don't 100% know what most of these do, so we would just go Control F, Chimera. What do you do? Aqua Rake, D. Aqua Rake's not that bad. It's like starting out, certainly. That might be useful. But you will notice with this form that you very swiftly go from A to, like, B. So even if these are the only things you ever remember, that's pretty much all you need. Nightshade is not generally available. For the obvious reason that it will kill anything in the game. Just like for free. And then there's so many F tiers and so many D tiers that it's mostly not worth thinking about. Or a lot of them. But we'll go through the process, because, as I said, I don't know what most of these are. So step mine on that. What a terrible, terrible, terrible... I don't even really know how it works. Cactrot, I'm pretty sure does 1,000 needles, and that's why it's up here. Blowfish, A+. It will do straight up 1,000 damage. which is incredibly useful at the start of the game. I don't technically need to look up the rest of these, but I might as well. Chitinid. Stop! D-. Hooray. Unless you're fighting Poltergeist or something, you're probably not going to be making much use of that. Step Mine, again, hooray. Eland. Bio. I'm not entirely sure why that's a D grade. Bio is a fairly powerful spell. Useful against several bosses. Spectre does fire, that's a level 1 spell, that's nothing. Outsider. Pearl. Useful. Useful to know. Not great because it's slow, but it is strong and some things are weak to it. Barbie does love token. And makes you immune to nearly all statuses. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever used that before. Muse. Pep Up. Hooray. Pep Up is an ability that kills you and then heals other people. And Fortis does Fireball, which is nothing. So really, if you take a minute at the start of a casual run and look through this form for what you have in terms of rages, that can help you a lot. Basically, in this case, we're looking at... Oh yeah! No, there's some things that are worse than F, apparently. So we're looking at Barbie for Love Token. We're looking at Cactrot. Whatever it was, there it is. For 1,000 Needles, or... I've already forgotten what it's called in this game. I've been playing too much Final Fantasy V. And the Chimera does Aqua Rake. Something cast Pearl. I think it was the Outsider. Outsider cast Pearl. So, very reasonable starting abilities in terms of I can do some damage. Fake Mustache is pretty much worthless. Now, when I was a kid, what I would do is I would take Setzer, and I'd give him an offering, and I'd give him a Genji glove, and I'd give him some fixed dice, and then I'd go out of my way to buy regular dice. Don't do that. They're not good. They're terrible. And nothing of note in either of those shops, really. This is another chest I would not normally go out of my way for, but random chests, and I'm trying to show people what there is. It's got a Debilitator in it. Debilitator is an interesting tool. It has its uses. I very rarely come into a situation where I could use it and have someone who can use tools. Air Anchor is very good. So I should explain what the Debilitator does. Debilitator adds a weakness to a boss. So it'll pull from the 8 elements and add that weakness to the boss. And then if you use it again and again, you'll keep doing that until the enemy's weak to everything. It can be useful for getting things through things like Tritalk or I don't know, Ifrit or anything that has, you know, a lot of defense or is only weak to a specific variety of attack. We'll buy some basic items. And then we'll continue looting the town. Air Anchor, if you're not aware of how that works, if you hit an enemy with it, the next move it takes, it will die. So it's sort of like a delayed doom spell. I don't remember if I got this middle barrel. That was another chest people might not know about, that little pot in the Cider Man's house. Charm Bangle, hooray, that's some money. And a tonic and a clock. So, some great treasure, some terrible treasure. One notable thing that happens with random chests, I mentioned the lack of consumables, because there are just a lot of consumables in boxes in the base game. What there also isn't a lot of in random that you get a ton of if you just shuffle the chests is elixirs. Because there's an elixir in almost every clock in the game, in vanilla. Imp's Armor, strong against water. Ragnarok, one of the two best swords in the game. Now, we are doing... Let's just go ahead and ban that person. /bot. MVK man. 1, 2, 3. 8, 9. Alright. Probably won't do anything since they just make new accounts and whatever, but... Ooh, experience egg! Which actually slots in quite nicely with what I was about to say. About starting with party highest level or party average level. Dragonhorn, one of the best relics in the game. You kind of have to be careful what you're doing. In terms of, especially with party highest level and not party average level. Because you can get one character to a really high level and then have everyone else just eat dirt all the time. Another offering. So, unlike progress gating, scaling, which is the usual method, you have a lot more control. Less so in character gating, but if you're in open world and you have party highest level or party average level, you can just go do all the free things. Whereas in progress, that would mess with you. Basically in this, if I don't gain any levels, I'll be fine. And the first thing I'm going to do, since I found that dried meat, is go over here to the belt and finally equip my characters. You're probably not going to be using that for a minute. Okay, so basically just optimized everyone. Realm, if I put that Ragnarok on her, now has endgame gear on already. Mog's gonna be hitting things, so I left him with a Ragnarok, and he can't even attack regularly. I guess the rage is... I think it's 50% to do a hit, and then 50% to do whatever the ability of the thing is, so it's nice to have him with a weapon, but you don't have to give him your best one. And then I have some relics to distribute. Earrings for my dancer and later magical girl. Frankly, earrings for Gao. I don't really see anything else here I want to put on. The experience egg I normally would. And it's a bit of a question of whether I want to today. And you don't need anything really. I guess I could give him a Genji glove and the other good sword, but whatever. I'd rather him learn a level 2 spell for right now. Yeah, that experience egg is the big question mark in party average level or party highest level, as is what I'm using right now. And it's a soldier immediately. So pull out the dried meat. I didn't sort this stuff. There it is. Give the soldier some meat, and I'll jump in the party. And we get a magic sight of Crusader. Which, in this case, has Life 2, Ice 2, Merton, and Pearl on it. So I think I've got 3 elemental shields already, yeah. So this might very well be a Merton seed. It's not a fast learn, but it is available. Now we run into the question of, do I want to do a fixed encounter check right away? And the answer is not really. I might in a race, but I'm also right next to this check. Actually, something I should show off, because I'm not sure it existed when Ravlin did his first two of these. The chests have been re-added to Tomasa. There is treasure here now. So, for those who might not know, there's one in a barrel. There. There's one in a barrel here. There is one in Strago's house, where you would normally get the other memento ring. This one's a bit out of the way, but it's just kind of in the wall there on the left. Merton is wind and fire, which is why you can use it if you have any elemental shields, because the ones that don't negate or absorb fire negate wind. I think it's the thunder shield that does that. Let's take a look. Thunder shield. So yeah, you can see in no effect you got that swirly wind thing. So that will, because of how the game works... I just learned something that I did not know. If you go into the description of an item, it stops the scroll of the description of the item up top. So this absorbs thunder element at the moment. But yeah, Merton can be stopped by either stopping wind or fire. So right now, the entire party can... These stop fire, they null fire, that nulls wind. Ideally, you'd want, you know, fire shields or something that gives you fire absorption. Hello, Illumina! I need Mog to learn a spell before I can really give him that. Okay, so Dragoon Boots available. I'm going to buy one because I already have a Dragon Horn. And that's a very, very powerful combination if I can find a Lance, or even if I can't. If you're using a Lance, you get double damage from the jump. If you are using not a Lance, you get 1.5. Alright, so we'll just get rid of some stuff that I don't think I'm gonna use. Sleeping bags are very nice to have. If you're playing casually, you don't really need them, but I'm used to the racing scene. And you always want some remnants. Probably something else I can sell. Coronet's not a very good hat, and it's worth some money. I always think it's worth more because in Final Fantasy V it's worth like between 10 and 20,000 money. Imp armor, I already have something better than, and it's... Oh, I should have kept that. For the off chance I could show off a full imp setup. But I might find more. Who knows? I want one of those. But I came in here for more remedies. If you're very confident about what you have and what is how good, you can kind of sell all your stuff at once. This is something I like to do. Just buy 10 shuriken. They're almost free if you find shuriken, because you might find someone with throw, and if not, you've wasted almost no money. And then that gives them sort of like a pummel level free attack if you don't have a lot of weapons. I think I forgot to put my Moogle charm back on, which is always a danger. Moogle charm. And hopefully shortly, Mach will be holding an Illumina Ragnarok Genji glove combo, but he needs to have a magic command. This is actually pretty important. It's so interesting that the Illumina and the Ragnarok don't actually tell you what they do. The Illumina, as you can see, has ridiculous stats. But the other thing is you can use it from the back row. And it has auto crits with MP, and it can't miss. Okay, yeah. So we'll switch those out mostly for the stats at the moment. But the important thing to note about MP crits is until you have a magic command, i.e. until you've learned a spell or equipped an Esper. So we will actually give this to Mog now. You can't do MP crits. You need to have the magic command available in battle, or nothing will happen. Still a good sword, but you know, you're not gonna get those crits. Hello, Terra. Terra, always one of the best characters. Like, unless you really mess with the stats, which is a new option. It doesn't really matter what ability she has. She has the best equipment pool in the game, 5 reasonable checks. Do I want it? I'm not going to be using dance for long. Although, I forgot what that dance did, and that's not going to help. But the other two should be putting out more than enough damage. Especially with that Pearl Proc. Bye-bye, Ultros. Unfortunately, no gold or MP for Ultros. No Nat Mag on her. And she has Runic. Runic is an ability a lot of people overlook. It's really good. It's very useful defensively. You can go back to having that, and we'll give her whatever. And you can see already, the start naked, I don't even have a shield for her. I have the worst hat in the game, and a reasonable piece of other things, but mostly nothing. So, that's the danger of starting naked. You don't really always have the things you need. If you get to this point, if it's a race, you'd probably warp out. If it's not a race, you can just go down any of them. But the one you want is the top one. That's the one with the 2 treasures. I have actually tried to go to the Esper room from like the vanilla end of this area. There's nothing in there. Don't bother. It's just a waste of time. Okay, Mithril Glove, garbage piece of gear. And I'll just walk out. I'm not in a race. I did buy warp stones. I guess I could have used one. It's kind of nice to just take my time for once. Okay, now, if you find Terra, there's a pretty obvious starting move. Which is go here. Go to the sealed gate. There's almost no reason not to. You have to be pretty late or pretty confident about a seed to not go loot this room. Poison Claw is meh, tonic, chainsaw, black belt, crystal orb, 20 gold, 20k gold. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Mega Elixir. Always happy to find one of those in a run. Another 20k gold and some Genji. So mostly that was some money and a Mega Elixir. And the money's not hugely likely to be incredibly useful. But this is kind of the point where I go, I have checks I can do that are free. This is a free check. If you're going with party highest level, it's very often incredibly useful. Ah! Do I have a titanium? I think I found a titanium. I really wish I hadn't sold that imp armor, because I would have had 3 of the pieces required for imp. Imp Dragoon. I have Dragoon boots, a dragon horn. I never go get that bottom chest. Oops. That was my fault. One thing to note about this place is you can just... even if the square you're standing on doesn't exist anymore once it switches, as long as you're holding the button, you move before the bridges change, effectively. Another chest I don't use. Okay, Valiant Knife, I have an offering. So that's 3 characters set up. I have Dragoon set up. I have Genji Glove Illumina Ragnarok set up. I have Offering Valiant Knife. And anybody else can just use Merton. I hope I can do an imp Dragoon. I don't remember if what am I trying to save? There's nothing here. I don't remember if imp stuff is vanilla purchasable or not. Okay, there is some junk under the floor here. I don't know where all of them are. The names they give there are not the things you get. I think one of those 2 is a remedy. They're not shuffled in with the rest of the treasure. They count as events or something, so there's certain other things that don't get shuffled in. They're not really worth getting. Whatever. Gravity Rod. Sells for a lot of money. But I just thought I'd point out they exist. There's 4 or 5 of them, I think, in this area. But you can see with all this treasure why you want to go here pretty much immediately if you find Terra. Hooray! Garbage room. And you can see with the random treasures, you get great stuff and then you get nothing. Hello, Merton Strats! Okay, I get to show off a lot of high-end things, apparently, today. And there's a 5th character. Setzer is not a very good character, but he does have a free check. I guess the main selling point for Setzer is... Okay, here we can see the natural magic indicator at the top right there next to his MP. So he does have Nat Mag. He doesn't have great stats, and he has a pretty rough equipment pool. I think the main thing you could say for him, in general, is he will always be able to equip the fixed dice if he has his original equipment pool. It's party highest level. If it wasn't... Well, actually, it's always nice to have at least a couple. I do often just take a fight on the way out of here. Whether that's a good idea or not. I did go into the dance menu there. Actually, if I had used that, I would not have learned the dance for that area. That's something to bear in mind if you have dance as a start thing. And we can see this one has Snowball, Snare, Spectre, and Sunbat. So that one, I think Snowball is percentage-based. Snare is an insta-kill. I think it has to be a ground enemy. Spectre, I think that's the confusion one, and Sunbath is a very good... I think it's effectively just Cure 2. But it's quite a good cure spell. So, I'll leave that on him long enough to... No, I won't, because this is my caster. Dance is getting thrown out really fast today. So, I'm going to take the free heal in here and a chance to check the shop. This is something people often forget about. I mean, the shops aren't terribly randomized, so it's not going to be a great shop. But it exists. And then I'm going to go do Setzer's Kalinjin check. I'm not actually thinking too hard about routing right now. Simply because this isn't a race. because there's certainly faster things I could have done. This check is free though, and with the party highest level, you usually want to do as many free checks as you can before anything else. Up. What a chancellor. And it's a ghost. It's the ghost of Illumina. Jesus! I think I've made the most beginner-friendly seed possible. Oh, there's my imp armor. If I can find a tortoise shield and the imp spell, I will be so happy. I'm not really checking the shops for any particular reason at this point. I've got my basics. You do want to buy 5 to 10 of just general consumables when you see them. Tinctures I wouldn't worry about, but the other things, yeah, grab a few. I really hope I find a tortoise shield. There is a chest back here not everyone may know about. And it's got a gem box in it. So I kind of find the gem box overrated. How the gem box works is it does let you cast 2 spells. However, it takes twice as long to charge up for those spells. So effectively you're saving yourself 1 crawl of the ATB bar and removing your ability to use espers. There's a chest in here that people might not know about. Just in a pot. Another weird old man living alone. Muscle belt. So that Valiant Knife strategy just get a lot better. And speaking of Colosseums, let's go look at it. Because I did make some changes to the Colosseum. Again, this is terrible routing. I just am trying to show off some stuff. One thing that I always do in the world of Ruin is take a safety save before I drive around the airship. Because Doomgaze has cost me large portions of a run sometimes. Okay. So, the Colosseum now features this on the right. The question marks are... I mean, you can make everything be available, but I set it to, what, like 90 to 160, so upwards of, you know, it's 2/3-ish of the things should have a known... See, I can get mega elixirs all I want. Not seeing much else worth my time. Snow mufflers. Might go out of my way for those. Magus rods. Probably not worth my drill, but especially with all the Illuminas and offerings I have hanging out. I can get all the Illuminas I want. I can get all the Illuminas I want. Oh my. What a seed. And then I could turn those Illuminas into economizers if I want to. With Gembox Merton, that might not be a terrible idea. And outside of that, I don't recall seeing any... nothing else really notable here. Mega elixirs are an interesting thing to have access to. Illuminas are a ridiculous thing to have access to. Snow mufflers are top tier wearable armor. So effectively, these Illuminas will cost me $9,000-ish dollars. Let's see what I have to fight for, and that's a free fight. We'll send Terra in. Good job, idiot! You can only do 2 things. Pick the other one. And it's gone. And I have another Illumina. Who all can wield an Illumina? Everybody! Everybody can hold an Illumina. I don't think Gao's sticking around my party much longer. Have an Illumina. Have an Illumina. Ridiculous. The Colosseum encounters do scale, yes. So whatever the scaling is for everywhere else, it works the same in the Colosseum. Yeah, so not the safest thing to do at the start of a run, I guess. But you can get some pretty solid starting items if you go here and get lucky. So, we'll try for the Snow Muffler. That's not a great enemy. At least I don't think it is. One of those enemies I don't really remember. But a Pearl Proc will do it. Yeah, the list has made the Colosseum an actual, like, viable strat. Who all can wear snow mufflers? Everybody! Everybody can wear snow mufflers. This is ludicrous. Okay, I don't actually know what a Barbie does, so I'm going to take a safety save in between these. I think I've got at least 2 mithril nails that I can throw at it. Yep. This is... like, if I was doing this as a race, it would pretty much already be over. Did I only have one? I guess I only had one. That's slightly disappointing. Do I have to fight for a Mega Elixir? Something free! One of the benefits to coming to the Colosseum early is that you... well, that's a dead Terra. Is that you don't have access to a lot of things. Right, so... you won't be casting Scan for no reason, for example. If you've only got a couple of abilities, then... yeah, Gigavolt's not a nice ability. I guess Realm has a... Thunder Shield. Doop-a-doop. Get him, Realm. She knows more spells than anyone else, but they're mostly... well, that'll kill it. Now, I already have a Mega Elixir, but, you know, more is not going to hurt. That would be an incredible safety move. Just sit here for a while, grinding those out. So, this is a ridiculous seat. It very much fits the brief of, oh, this is a good starting place. Now, in terms of actual routing, the next thing I would do is go down here. There's no relic shop in there. I can't look for more Dragoon boots. I think I bought them in Tamasa, so I'll grab a bunch of those the next time I'm in the World of Balance. But Daryl's Tomb is real close. Reasonable density of treasure. It's not the fastest check in the world, but it's also not particularly slow. So up comes the water. And down we go to get the various items. Peace Ring. Peace Ring, if you don't have a ribbon, Peace Ring will pretty much get you through uncursing the Cursed Shield. Basically because you won't be muddled, which is the main issue. An Ice Rod in other seeds could be very useful. Excuse me. For those who don't know how rods work, they basically use the spell at the highest possible power. So you could cast Ice 2 yourself, and then you could cast it with the rod, and the rod would be strong. Would I have gone to the Colosseum if I was racing? No, not with this setup. Not with already having 4 solutions to the scene. Right, I've got what? I found 2 Illuminas and a Ragnarok. I have a Valiant Knife and an Offering, which is another solution. I have the ability to cast Merton later. So, probably not. I would just be running straight to the end at this point. Just doing checks as fast as I could. Probably pick up a couple dragons for extra experience if I needed it. And we're gonna find Strago. This could be slightly problematic, Rex, so I guess this is a good time to point this out. This is the other sheet that I think is very useful for people. Not that, but switch over. This is a little cheat sheet I made. And basically it has... Is that on screen? Yeah. It has all the bosses listed there. And then also, the main reason I made it is because I did not know any of the status vulnerabilities of any boss, because there's no reason you should ever know that. So, you know, there's a lot of things vulnerable to slow and stop, for example. Dataluma is apparently vulnerable to imp, which I did not know. And then a bunch of other stuff. This Petrify has a... He's specifically only weak to Petrify. There's a weird thing in this game where Petrify and instant death are often linked, and he's not weak to instant death. So the only way you can petrify him is by using the Deep Eye Rage. I think that's what it's called. Which has a specific spell that you can't get anywhere else that only does petrify and doesn't do instant death. So it's a weird thing. But basically, you got your bosses. You got any status things you can use on them. And then you've got all the things they're weak to here, just kind of laid out. This is a PDF I downloaded. I think I uploaded it as just a Google Doc, so like you can see it's kind of cut off at the side here, and there's extra stuff down there because it's just how it happened to work. But there's also like little strategy bits, or what down here we're into the final Kefka fight, and it shows you what each part does if you kill it at the wrong time, or little bits of strategy for other things, like you can pummel Vergus to insta-kill him. If you're fighting the Whelk, just use lightning, because if you hit the shell with lightning, he won't counter. So yeah, this is there's 2 sheets I would recommend that you just kind of have. One is rages, because who knows all the rages? Nobody knows 256 rages. And just learn like the top, I don't know, basically the colored ones. And then for this, it's just nice to have if you're not super familiar with the rando or vanilla boss weaknesses, etc. I think it's called Boss Exploits. It's in the guides repository along with that rage sheet. But the reason I brought that up is, I guess I can show it on the sheet wherever it is. Boop. So they're in Rexall, here we are, and this is the holy slot, I think. No, wait, sorry, it's weak to ice. It absorbs fire and pearl. So having the Illuminas on this fight is a little dangerous, because if I proc pearl, that's going to do way more healing than I am going to just hitting him. So we'll see what happens. So there's the hit for 227. And there's it healing for actually slightly less, because I'm not a very high level. But I have Ice 2. One thing I could do if I didn't have Merton strats is just break the rods. I guess I have that one ice rod. I can break the shields, rather. it is. Rods are... If you press right, for some reason, not R or L, that doesn't do anything, it just makes a noise. If you press right when you're using a rod, you can make it go single target, which is very useful to be able to do. You might as well just fight him, you can't really do anything else, just don't proc, please. So you can see there, Realm did a crit, and Terra didn't. That's that whole she doesn't have a magic command yet thing that I mentioned earlier. You can't do MP crits if you don't have a magic command. Because reasons. I'm just going to throw a Cactrot. What you don't want to do in this fight is use multi-target things, because those little guys, there's no point in killing them. They just come back, and it takes forever to happen. So... I'm happy Gao hit Rexall directly, but that could have gone to anyone. You really want controllable characters for that fight and like the Curly Berry Mo fight, some other things. Welk can be absolutely horrendous if you don't have a controllable character. But there's a lot of magic points. It should be basically everyone knowing a spell from their shields. And what does Strago do? He has Throw. He has Throw. Oh. Throw is quite possibly the best ability in the game. Certainly up there. We will have to see if he can hold an Illumina. If he can... I don't know who's actually going to stay in my party. Yeah, Strago has Illumina. So, definitely kicking Gao out at this point. Whether I go with Strago or I go with Setzer is a question mark. But there's no reason to have Gao anymore. Cactrot is nice, but he can't hit things with an Illumina. So these three are definitely staying. Throw, Natural Magic. They both have Natural Magic. Strago's almost as strong as Setzer and has Throw. The problem is he's very slow. I guess that's not... He's actually not that slow today. I've been forgetting that the stats are distorted. So, Strago is actually much faster than Setzer. He does have terrible stamina, though. 15 is a ridiculously low number. What are the stats on my other characters? 50 magic power on Mog. Some of that's coming from the Illumina, though. Yeah. These are quite good stats. We'll take Strago. He has Throw. Throw is very, very good, and Control is not very, very good. That also explains why Gao has 47 attack power. That'd be very nice if I could control him, or had, you know, Cat Scratch or something. An attack-based rage. Give me all your clothes, please. And Strago gets... Illumina. Which means he can go to the back row. This is something I actually kind of forgot to do earlier. Yeah, if you are ever wearing an Illumina, just put yourself in the back row. It's back row compatible, the game doesn't tell you, like it doesn't tell you all the other wonderful things it does. But for right now, probably, I'm gonna quickly do one thing. I don't know if that was the fastest way to get over here, but we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna buy a bunch of Dragoon boots. Because if I find any other Genji gloves, I suppose I should check who can actually use the Valiant knife as well. Everybody! This is the most generous seed ever. It just gives you stuff and then says, yeah, do what you want. And it's everybody can do it. So we'll grab 3 of those. I'm not worried about money. There's really nothing else I could buy that would make things particularly easier, aside from some mithril mail. I mean, that should be easy to get hold of, but I'm not going to go out of my way to look for it. But if you're playing this and you... I mean, Illuminous on their own are one of the best defensive items in the game. But if you're playing this on your own and you're finding you're getting hit a lot and dying, snow mufflers are one of the best defensive items in the game. And if you can get them for... well, mithril mail can't be more than a couple $1,000. Then that's a thing you should do. Okay, so now I have some choices. And... this is not a choice I would normally make, but I do now have Terra and... confused myself there. Terra and Mog, which means this is the optimal time to do this. I can also now answer that question I had earlier about... still working on that, Merton. About whether or not the Lone Wolf retains its status as having been a started check. And the answer is yes, so that's nice. Might as well also go check on the mithril mail availability. I'm not in a race, so I may as... ah, that's not the kind of mithril I want. But yeah, this is not a series of checks I like doing. Kefket Narsh is the check I hate the most in the entire game. Other people have varying opinions on which is the worst. Some people do Kefket Narsh right away, and I don't understand them. I don't think it's a good starting spot. But... how much damage can you do with your fighting? Quite a lot! Dataluma is a weird boss. I don't have Normalized Distort on, in which case he can be quite dangerous. But he's got like 3 different counters on him. They have an order of precedence that I don't recall. But if you hit him with physical attacks, I think 4 times, he'll start throwing stuff at you. If you hit him with magic twice, he'll start throwing stuff at you. And if you get him below a certain HP level, he will start throwing stuff at you. The magic one doesn't usually come up. Okay, second Esper. Zone Seek. HP plus 100%, that should probably go on Strago. Or I should decide right now who's actually going to wind up being the Valiant Knife person. 22, 36, 28, 32. It's probably Terra long term. So Terra, have all the health in the world, please. For those who aren't aware, if you do Locke's weapon shop check before you come here, the choice you didn't make will just be a guard of some sort standing here, and you can talk to him, and he'll give you the other option that you missed. That can be quite useful, because it's usually a good item. I mean, it has to be a good item. Unlike the Lone Wolf check, which is, hey, do you want this tonic? A lot of the time. I'm actually going to write that down. That's a suggestion I keep forgetting to make. Make Lone Wolf item good. I think I've only ever not chosen the left side of the Lone Wolf check once, and that was because it was a paladin shield on the other somehow. Just the luckiest possible thing. Hello, Celeste. And it's a merchant. So I need what? 9 characters, 8 espers, 2 dragons. Haven't found a dragon yet. Oh no, an echo screen. What'll I do without that? Please be an esper. Odin. Okay. Odin can be quite useful in the final battle. I mean, you might as well start learning it, but it's going to take a while. Well, I have life 2 on the other esper with Merton on it, so not too worried about that. Another race type tip, move your sleeping bags to the top of your item screen. Saves time. And if you're just playing casually, you don't need sleeping bags. So, nudge, and you. And you can go there. One thing that could make party average level or party highest level harder is also I didn't turn it off today, but if the start with party average level is off, you can wind up with a bunch of level 3 characters in your party that can't do anything. So that's another thing to bear in mind. This is how you route through here, by the way. You come down to this area. That soldier's gonna walk around. And then you come through here and you stand down here for a minute. There is a way to go through the brown guys there really quickly, but it's really hard to pull off, and I haven't practiced it, so I don't know how to do it. I mean, I know how to do it, I can't do it every time. Hello, Double Mog. Okay, Chatternook is an interesting boss. I have Pearl, that'll help. This part, the girl, don't even bother hitting it. You cannot kill it. It's technically immortal. I mean, technically no, it has a health bar and you can exceed it and it'll die. But it just refills all its health immediately. It doesn't even explode off the screen as far as I can recall. So you just wait a minute. And the demon part is weak to fire. It is weak to holy or pearl, whatever you want to call it. Good, that missed. That's not a nice spell. So we run into the question of, is it better for me to cast Pearl or attack with an Illumina? And the answer is, I don't really know. What I do know is that I can throw this Excalibur at its face. Because it's a holy element sword. And that will be better than the other one. Dish. It wasn't great, but not a very high level. Yep. So that'll probably be a dead that thing. Yep, very much so. You can see the effect that her holding 2 earrings is doing. That was nearly 10k on that Pearl. And I learned some spells. I saw Doom in there. That could be useful for the end game. That must have been on Strago. What do you do? Oh, they keep giving me all the best things. Morph is ridiculous. Morph is a very overlooked ability in this game. He's got more magic power, and, well, some of that's going to be coming from the Illumina. I think we go with Celeste and drop Strago at this point. And then I'm not dropping any... Well, no, Celeste will definitely be able to wear it, because she has inherent access to the Illumina and the Ragnarok. A lot more party changes in this than I was expecting. But this, I'm not changing again. I don't really care what else I find. 4 people swinging Illuminas or casting Merton will get me through pretty much anything. So we'll just walk out of here. Slowly. And then we'll walk back up here. Because I just remembered something. There are Atlas armlets. Atlas armlets, if I am remembering correctly, multiply your attack damage by 1.5. You cannot stack them, and you cannot use a hero ring and an Atlas armlet. They don't stack. It's the same effect. Take a quick heal, and then decide where we're going. Probably to South Figaro and then the Magitech factory. Or I could leave South Figaro for a minute and do it in the World of Ruin. And therefore get at least a bit of extra treasure. I don't really know what I'm going to do. Might do it World of Ruin. Not going to save me a huge amount of time to do it the other way. I don't really need the treasure from Albrook, but Albrook was technically on the way here. Could have stopped there. Atlas, 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 Atlas. I decided she was going to be the one that didn't have that, right? So you can have the Genji glove. You can have a Valiant knife. You can have a Ragnarok. And you can have an offering. So, unlike the Illumina, Ragnarok is not back row compatible, so I'll have to bring her out to the front. But since I have warp stones, I am going to go look in here at the defense shop, because if I can find a tortoise shield, I can make an imp jumper. And I've never been able to do that in this game before. Force armor is a reasonable bit of gear. Halves damage from a lot of elements. Has pretty high magic defense. Quite reasonable. Certainly in the list of things I want for the end game. When I'm holding a bunch of Illuminas and stuff, I don't really need that. I'm not going to go out of my way for too much in here. I have my end game solutions. Gold hairpin, nah. I'm kind of already past the point where that would have been particularly useful. I guess I can show off one of the treasure rooms people might not know about in here. There's a bunch of hidden treasures in here. But the most hidden one is probably up here. If you come up here, and you walk into this pipe, and you go way down here, and then you come over here, and there's 2 chests. Not something I would normally ever do. You can also then fall down. I think it's a little faster than walking back, but I have absolutely no guarantee on that. Other hidden chests are in here. I mean, that one's pretty obvious. Or is there something else down here? No. But there's another room over here that looks like it might have something in it, and it does, but it's hidden. So there's a chest there. And since I'm right next to it, I'll get this. But again, in a race, you're not going to see many people come down here because you have to walk all the way back. I mean, if you're doing this casually, there's a ton of chests in the Magitech factory. They just take a long time to get. And there's another one that if you go in here, there's one. And it's another Valiant knife, so hope I find more Genji gloves. I think I have 2 offerings, so probably rather just swing the Illumina on 3 people, but you know, that's a decision you'd have to make for yourself. There's pros and cons to both. And let's find out what Ifrit is. It's the Hold A boss. Make sure everybody's on fight, and then we hold A. Won't this be exciting? This boss has a timer variance of, I think, 30 to 90 seconds. So just set it on attack, and that's it. Valiant Knife, for those who aren't aware of why it works or why I think it might be as useful as an Illumina. A, it ignores defense. And B, even though it doesn't have that much inherent battle power, for every health you're missing, that's another damage that the knife will do on every swing. It also ignores, I think, ignores the damage split from the offering. If you use an offering with almost any weapon, it will split the damage in half. But that extra damage just gets added on. It either gets added on after that, or the Valiant Knife isn't affected by it. So, and you're ignoring defense, so it's just good in every way. If you can get an offering. If you're just swinging it, then the Illumina's definitely better. Unless you're really high level. I think I found a muscle belt earlier also. So I might as well show off the muscle belt trick. Another Magicite. So if we go in here and I heal up my party, Terra has 1,000 health. I think I have a muscle belt otherwise. So that's 1.5 times damage, right? But if I put on the muscle belt, I now have 1,600 health, so I'm missing 500-ish health, which means every extra swing, that's another 500 damage. So after you heal, you just take off the muscle belt or the red cap, Genji, green beret, if you're really... I mean, green beret is only an eighth of your health. That's not usually going to be a lot, but there aren't a lot of good hats, so... Green beret has 10% physical evade on it, and it raises your health a little. It's one of the better hats, but again, there's almost no good hats. So okay, here's my first Durgan. And I'm just going to hold A. And nobody's going to take any fire damage. Well, Celeste might. So, that's the thing about Genji Glove Illumina. Merton can't miss. So, despite having all the dodge in the world from the Illuminas, you're still gonna get hit. That's not ideal. But it should be dead before Terra gets a chance to do anything good. So I am going to pretty much just run at the end of the seed. Run to the end of the seed at this point. I'll take a minute to gather another Illumina or two. There's a red cap. That's one of the only good hats in the game. What I would do at this point is this. I'm looking for espers, not characters, and it takes a while to do that next part. I do have money and things to sell, so Tizen is right here. Might as well check it out. See how much it costs, and if it is an esper. Might not be aware, but if you talk to this guy in the World of Balance, he will say this is yours, and not this is a glowing stone. If you like, he'll say it's a glowing stone if it's an esper. If you talk to him in the World of Rowan, he will only ever say, "Yeah, you want this?" I'm curious enough to buy it at that price. Plus, there might be Genji gloves in here. Of course there aren't. Why would there be? But, you know. I kicked the throw guy out of my party, didn't I? You know, so... just sell some junk. If you do have a throw person in your party, you really generally do want to hang on to any weapon at all. And also, just basically sell any relic you don't intend to use. Because that's where a lot of your money is going to come from. So, Crystal Orb, not that great. Peace Ring, I'll keep around. Pod Bracelet's never going to see use. Dragoon Boots, I have a reason for having those. Rage Ring is pointless because I don't have Lumaro, same with that. And now I have $70,000. Gimme! It's a Thunder Shield! So, you know, I can break that for a fair amount of damage. Please tell me a Tortoise Shield. Well, there's no Tortoise Shields anywhere. I want an Imp Jumper. I don't know why I keep checking weapon shops. There's no reason to be doing it. I guess it's just habit once I'm into a shop checking cycle to check all of them. There's some more sleeping bags. I'll grab some of those. And that's it. Let's get out of here. I like how I turned off all the viable solutions. And then the game just went, yeah, here's all the solutions though. And at this point, it might be very much worth it for me to put on an experience egg, because there's no way bosses are going to outclass me. Coming here partially to show off the fact that there's no timer anymore, and partially because it's very close to where I just was. And on the way to another check, which won't take very long. Kind of routing now based on... Oh, it's the other one. Oh, wait. I second-guessed myself on that. That was not the right one. So, you know, even someone who's played the game a whole lot of times can make a simple mistake like that. Alright, and that red dragon I killed counts as a dragon. That's a point I tried to make earlier. I'm not sure if everyone would have been around for that bit, but that red dragon that I fought in the Magitech factory is a dragon in terms of number of dragons killed. It's not the thing in the spot where you usually fight the dragon. It's just you have to find a boss that is a dragon. And then probably want to start getting some experience. That's the other thing with party whatever level. The basic idea is at the start, don't fight anything. Try not to fight anything. And often you will wind up, especially in open world at the end, just with no real levels. Now I do have quite sufficient levels of gear that I'm not worried about, you know, learning. I don't know why I said learning, I was thinking about magic. Not really concerned about my levels. There's way too much genuinely really good gear around for me to be particularly concerned. And there's that scale element getting shown off. Single target bolt edge. Not something you're gonna see in vanilla. Oh, I thought I got fine. But I didn't. Oh, we'll just fight through here. Using magic in this case because you know, as good as swords are, it's gonna be way faster to kill everything in one shot than to attack, like, 5 times. And then we have a boss. Eesh. And once Terra does some acting, we'll find out what it is. It's a Skull Durgan, so there's my other Durgan. And this Durgan is not going to be an issue. Just hit him with all the things. Realm is holding earrings, so that Pearl should do a fair whack of damage. He is weak to it. There are... I don't know what each dragon is weak to, but a lot of them are weak to some status element or other. So that would be a reason to pull up that exploits sheet I showed earlier. But if they're scaled, they're not usually an issue, especially if you have weaknesses and stuff. There's another muscle belt. So I could have 2 Valiant Knife people. Be interesting to see how people approach this as a Moogle's first seed, because there are 4 top tier strats on the board. It's a dead check. So we'll go to the world. Oh wait, I was gonna go to Zozo, but I'm here now. And the fastest way to heal is probably just by doing this. So that is my dragons completed. I can show off this track thing here. So you can see that those counted as dragons. I need 2 more characters and 4 more espers. And it might actually be a valid time to look at my espers. Alright, so I just healed. Terra now has way more health than she needs. So we go to the relics and we take the muscle belt off. You have to leave that screen. If you put it back on right away, nothing will happen, but now that's another 1,000 damage she will do a shot. And I was gonna say something and I've forgotten it. Unicorn has flare and magic powers, so you now know Merton. Oh right, I remember. The reason Terra has been sitting on this Zone Seek forever and will continue to for the rest of the thing, HP plus 100%. If you can get that and you have a Valiant Knife user, perfect. What you want is a big health pool that's you can just do extra damage from by them not having it. So, fastest thing to do is search the skies. Fight Doom Gaze immediately while I'm prepared for it. And it's another Durgan. And this is pretty much what the rest of the game is going to look like. Me doing this, holding down the A button. If I had any Strength Plus Espers, that would be very nice. I haven't really gotten anything like that yet. And another dead check, hooray! It's Pearl Lance. So, game continues wanting me to be an imp jumper, but continues not to give me a tortoise ship. So, if you're not aware, both versions of South Figaro have treasures just in these outer boxes. They're different. The same thing applies to... I might as well check in case there's a Genji glove. Same thing applies to the South Figaro Cave. Both versions of that have different treasures. And I seem to recall there being a third one, but I can't remember. Alright, hopefully Tortoise Shield is available. There's really no reason for me to be checking shops. I'm just trying to do it for a very stupid reason. So we'll do that. But that only applies to the outer barrel, so I can show that off pretty handily here. This is an outer barrel. It's outside of a house. It has a new weapon in it, right? But if I go in here and check this clock I already checked, it's inside. It's the same map as the World of Balance, so there's nothing in there. Well, yeah, that's something good to know. It wasn't always in the randomizer. There was for a long time. You just picked one or the other. There were different treasures in both, but only one of them was available per game. Ghost! Okay, I've got Fenrir, so there is nothing the game can throw at me now that will stop me. Fenrir, I mean, it's pretty common knowledge, but Fenrir makes you unhittable by physical attacks by casting Image on you. And when Calmness comes up in Final Kefka Tier 3, that's an excellent way to get past it. Also, the 50% evade of 50%. I always say percent, it's not percent. I think it even says percent in the status. Yeah. 79% evade. It's not a percent. It goes up to 128. 128 is 100%. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. So, where are we going now? Well, we got Owzer's house, we got Moogle, we got Ebbett's Rock. I guess I'll go do Ebbett's Rock and Moogle to show off two things. This is probably fairly common knowledge. But if you go in here, A, there's a thing in that clock. And B, if you come down here and walk around, you can go talk to this top left little girl, and she'll tell you something. You're not going to take blank away, and then whatever the reward for this check is. So I do need another character. I need 2 more characters, so I will go get Shadow. That information is more useful in a race probably than in a casual setting, because you can just avoid the boss if it's a dead check. The dog doesn't want to talk to me. And then we come down here. And, yeah. One point I can make about this Funbaba fight is he will prioritize dead characters when he's blowing people out of the battle. So if you have a character you know that wouldn't be super useful in the second part, you can walk in with a dead character or get your characters killed manually. In this case, I don't really care who's alive and who's dead. And then it's leader. Okay, this is a little piece of weirdness about the game. I'm fairly certain in this fight, whoever replaces Terra starts at level 3 for the duration of this fight. When you get out of the fight, they will be whatever level they're supposed to be. But Shadow has 85 health for a reason. And then, based on the characters I have and so on... See, now he's level 22. I will go up here and point out that there is a free heal. You can sleep in this bed. And then I'm going to show you probably the least collected chest in the game. I think I picked it up and didn't mention it, but in one of these barrels, there is an item, but only in this World of Ruin version of the town for some reason. You can't get it in the World of Balance. But if you go back in here, which nobody ever does, there's something in there. never seen anyone get it on the stream because there's no reason. It takes a long time to get. Most people don't know it exists, but it's a thing. Woof. And then we will head for Ebbett's Rock. Mostly so I can make a point. Because these are intended for newer racers, right? And a lot of the stuff you will hear about Ebbett's Rock come from really experienced racers. Or people who just aren't aware. It's a pretty fast check. 99% of the time. 2. I have had one 10-minute jaunt through here, but in general, it's less than 2 minutes to get to the boss. 7. 10. I've also never actually memorized these rooms. They're kind of hard to do when you can't see all of them. 15. 20. So 2 more. You need 22 coral. That's not helpful. There we go. And we just step on some things. Move around the chest. Yeah, you could make it even faster if you bothered to learn what each room looks like, but it's already fast enough and I don't practice, so I would consider that supremely boring. This is a new little feature, a little quality of life thing. You go up here, the chest asks if you have coral, you give him the coral, and then he just goes away immediately. It's nice. Okay, so here I get to show off something. Tritok has a crap load of defense. But if you have a Valiant Knife, then you can still do damage. Because it cuts through defense. The only other way to kill Tritok is with fire, which I don't think I have access to. Or Flare, which ignores defense also. There's a few things that ignore defense. There's Fixed Dice, there's the Valiant Knife, Flare, Meteor, Ultima. Did I say Fixed Dice? That's basically it. There aren't that many. But any one of them will be helpful. I guess only one person knows Flare. Now you can see my damage is way lower on Terra than it was before. Drill does ignore defense, thank you. That was the one I was trying to think of. So I forgot to take the muscle belt off and put it back on, which would raise her damage by 1,000 a shot. Pommel ignores defense. I think Sword Tech 1 also ignores defense now that I think about it. But yeah, if you don't have anything to cut through defense and you don't have fire, you're not getting through this fight. So it's a reason to reset. Umaro can also ignore defense. If Umaro does that thing where he just throws himself at the enemy, that's a defense ignoring attack. His regular attack doesn't ignore defense. Yay, magic points and whatever. And another Magicite. Bahamut, which might also be a defense ignoring thing. I don't know that much about Espers. Okay, where am I going? Probably Azur's Hex. I really hope there's a tortoise shield in this stupid town. Oh, I have Shadow now! While I'm here. One problem I have with Emo Tracker is if you look at Shadow, it's hard to tell sometimes whether he's been gotten or not. There's a Mithril Mail. So we'll grab some of those. just so I can be ridiculously overpowered. And I don't even know why I checked the weapon shop. No tortoise shields, unfortunately. Dragonhorn, but Dragonhorn time passed a long time ago. So I need 2 espers and 1 character. So I do need to keep doing checks until I find that character, but once I do, probably straight to the auction house. Shadow has some very fast checks available that I forgot I had him, just because I looked over and his face is quite dark, being a ninja and so on, wearing black. Dagran. Oh, I forgot to check what was on that new esper. Garbage things are on it. You're sitting on Zone Seek forever. What taught me Flare? Oh. Yeah, you might as well have that in case you run into something annoying. And then... I am fiddling with spells too much at this point. This is... There's no real reason for me to be doing this. I guess. Oh, someone's already learning Doom. And... so we remove the muscle belt. Down to 3,200 health. We re-equip the muscle belt. Up to 4,800. That's an extra 1,600 damage a shot I could have been doing to try talk a minute ago. But you gotta keep on top of that. I haven't found any Strength plus Esper, so Valiant Knife isn't the strongest weapon in the game. There's a chest back here, by the way. That used to not be there in the rando. If you are playing with original, non-shuffled monster in a boxes, or fixed encounters, I think these qualify as, these 4 chests is some of the best grinding in the game. Usually that's not on, though. And the other notable thing about them is they, like those secret squares on the bottom of the sealed gate, where there's like that water edge and whatever, the things those chests tell you they have in them is not what you get from them. And the chest contents don't change in this random, so there's no real reason to ever open them. Unless, as I said, you are playing with vanilla fixed encounters. I guess one thing I sort of forgot to mention about Dance earlier is the main attack you're really looking for is Landslide, which is like Flare. It's a faster, better Flare. That also ignores defense, but you know, once you're talking about dance moves and stuff, you're getting into really fiddly territory. But if you have access to Landslide, that's the best dance move. Probably heal Celeste off a bit. We can leave Terra at her diminished health, because that's kind of her entire thing. And there's my final character. So, probably auction house time. Flame Eater, another boss that absorbs Holy, I'm fairly certain. So, I mean, we'll hit him, but it might not super work out. I don't know if he absorbs it or if he nulls it. Either way, it doesn't work. It might be a bad idea. there's flare on another person. So, smart thing here is probably do the auction house. I really don't want to, because I genuinely hate the auction house, as most people do. But I will at least go see if there are espers. There aren't always espers. There's glowing stones available. I will go at least once while I explain how the auction house works. Okay, if I buy this box, in the World of Ruin specifically, this item will never come up again. In the World of Balance, you can buy the boxes multiple times. So there are two ways to approach the auction house in the World of Ruin. And I'll show you the second way in a minute. The first way is just buy everything. No matter what comes up, buy everything, and it will increase your chances of being Magicite the next time. The other way is you go out of the town, you save the game, and then you go in the town, and if it's not an Esper, you reset, and it's just faster to do that. Yep, bid on stuff. It's a chest, so I reset. This particular version of this emulator doesn't have a hotkey for it, unfortunately. At least not one that I know. But this is the fastest way to go through the auction house. I really thought this was going to take, longer, since I'm stopping to explain all the time, but the seed has been so generous that I'll be surprised if I'm not done by 2 hours 30. See, I hate the auction house. I hate the auction house, and everyone else hates the auction house for the same reason that most people hate Ebbets Rock. It's out of your control. Ebbets Rock is at least... people have run tests on it. Cecil has run tests on it. And the average completion time is between, like, a minute 30 and 2 minutes. Sorry, the word. Statistics word meaning... Okay, so at this point I'm annoyed and I'm not going to do the auction house anymore. I do have 2 really fast checks I can do. I can't remember the word I was looking for, but 2 minutes is basically the maximum if you don't screw up and you don't have an outlier. So, we'll go do this free check with the shadow. And it's character. I don't need it, but it also opens up another free check, so I might as well take it. I have a bunch of sleeping bags. Yes, I'll buy some more anyway. So that opens up Figure Out, which means we're going this way. And then probably heading to Zozo afterwards. I'm not very good at the airship, but a point if you want to save time, if you're doing a race or something, don't ever go up. It's harder to navigate when you're really close to the ground, but it's also, it's like at least 2 or 3 seconds faster on the landing. Okay, there's an Esper. 1 more and I am in go mode. So normally I wouldn't actually be checking chests and shops here, but I really do want a tortoise shield. Like, I've had my solution for the entire, basically, since the start of the game. I don't need anything else. I've got a couple Mega Elixirs. There it is! There, oh, I don't know that I found Imp. See, this is why I've never managed to do it in an actual race. So we'll hope that Tirado or my final Esper has Imp on it. And then I can make a fully functional Imp jumper for the first time ever. But I will not be surprised if it doesn't happen. Might as well show off a chest almost nobody knows about. If you go back here behind this building, there's chests in this room. This room, which is apparently all the shops. It's not worth your time if it's a race, because it's quite far out of the way. But it is there. Same with the 6:10:50 clock. Not really worth your time. But also still there. One of my three. Oh, this, if you don't have a warp stone, you can use a crane. You just press down on it. And you can use it's not a very good shortcut, but it is a shortcut to get back down if you don't have warp stones. And there are checks like this one that I would normally try to put off until I find warp stones, because walking down out of here, walking out of Mount Zozo, walking out of the Zone Eater's belly, they all take a while and it feels bad to do. We're gonna continue sitting on that. What does Tirado have on it? Well, it's got Cure 3 and Osmos. Not Imp, but, you know, you can't have everything, I guess. And, yeah. You can see why I found those Illuminators and Valiant Knives and went, well, that's the end of my game. And especially in, like, a race setting, magic might do a bit more damage if you have the right spells and stuff, but straight up physical attacks are fast. Assuming you're not talking about fixed dice, which take forever. Ooh, a hero ring. That's actually one of the only bits of equipment I would be able to find at this point that would make things better for me. You know, because I could put a hero ring on her, or her. I mean, I'll probably put it on her since she has that second slot filled up with something else. And that will raise the damage both of what she can do with the physical attack and the proc. So, what does Raiden have on it? Okay, well, probably take Raiden just so I have it for the last battle. It's probably not doing anything for you. You know life too. Might as well learn Flare and get some magic points. You continue gaining health. Warp stones, like sleeping bags, are another item you want to move to the top of your inventory if you can. And basically, I am in go mode. I could go right now to Kefka's Tower and get through it pretty easily, but I'm gonna... I have the ability to make my party ridiculous. I might as well make my party ridiculous. I need one more, maybe two more Illuminous. Oh, I really just need one. Where are you? And we'll throw Terra at it. She got a free heal there for some reason. There's my Illumina. And then we go here. So yeah, you can really see how much difference it makes that she got that heal. Because that's, you know, thousands of damage less she's doing. Still a lot of damage because, as I said, it ignores defense, and she's got an offering. Alright, I think that's a snow muffler for everyone. Snow muffler, snow muffler, snow muffler, snow muffler! What a ridiculous set of gear. I think Mog is... No, it goes to 255. So he's not quite unkillable. She's nigh unhittable. As I said, the block percentage does go to a 128 for some reason, but 117% evade is nothing to be sneezed at. Everyone but her is almost at maximum defense. Let's go fight Kefka. Alright, so, sleeping bags. Remove the muscle belt, get out of the screen, put the muscle belt back on. And I am at level 37-38, so not particularly worried about my levels. I would say if you're above level 35, you're pretty much good to go fight Kefka. Like final Kefka. Put you there, put you there, put the other two in here. And then we'll just throw some bodies at you. Drago has throw, it'd be good to get him some levels. And so here is where party highest level can screw you. Censor's level 6. If it was like a 6-character party thing, and one of my characters went into battle with him, he would just die and be useless to everybody. So that's something you do have to think about. Although, this is not a very good teaching seat, I don't think. I've said a lot of things that are probably useful knowledge, but there has been zero difficulty. Alright, you don't need this anymore. So, have some earrings. You can have a Moogle charm, and there we go. At this point, I'm not checking chests, because I'll probably check that one that's right in your face, but even that, there's no real need for me to. It's just one... It's just a second I didn't need to waste, especially since that one was empty. But again, if you're playing casually, check all the chests. There's no reason not to. Okay. I don't really feel like equipping anybody. Although I guess I could throw a Ragnarok on someone. Probably wind up being Edgar. Edgar, no, can Strago use the Ragnarok? I think you could only use the Illumina. Either way, Strago and Edgar are the only ones that are even vaguely going to get equipment given to them. If I was hurting for levels before KT, what I would almost definitely have done is go fight the Dirt Dragon, or probably the Ice Dragon and Tritok. Those are two fairly fast and valid. You don't get that. You get a Ragnarok. I'm keeping my extra... Oh, need a Moogle champ. Oh, here's a beginner mistake that I didn't point out why I wasn't doing it. Illuminas and Ragnaroks should never be used with the offering. So I've had an offering sitting around for quite a while. There's no way I would ever use that with either of the two best swords. It removes their ability to do MP crits. It halves their damage per shot. And they can't proc. So almost everything great about them, in terms of being good weapons to hit things with, goes away immediately. Well, this is not a good battle to have an offering in. And she doesn't have great spells, so we're gonna take a chance here. Not good, not good, not good. Oh, she got free heal again. Oh. Blowfish is the word I was looking for way earlier in the game. Do 1,000 damage. Gravity Rod's a worthless thing to keep around. And I don't want to hit him in the Gru hole, so we'll just let him go away. I think I mentioned this earlier, but if you're fighting the Whelp, just use Bolt. If you only use Bolt, there's no way for him to counter. Even if you hit the shell accidentally when he goes in the Gru hole. I mean, I'm not at all worried about Terra dying, so we're just gonna keep doing that. I might break this rock. Crack out. Oh no, Edgar, I kind of want him to be alive, but also... I mean, it doesn't super matter. Where'd that Pearl Rod go? In the face, please. So yeah, that shows you that even like he's level 20-ish, level 20 character throwing a rod that isn't a weakness can still do 3,000 or 4,000 damage, which is one of the many reasons rods are good. Get off the ground, Edgar. You've got a job to do, which is be a backup character. There's also no reason for me to be saving as much as I am. Oh, and the reason that Terra got healed is anytime there's a choose your party screen, everybody gets a full HP heal. I don't think it affects your MP, but you do get all your health back. Because reasons. Go. And around we go. Now, were this an actual race, I would say, me personally, I would have been done 30 minutes ago. 20 to 30 minutes ago. It's incredibly generous, and my traditional final chest has nothing useful in it. Incredibly generous, see. So I don't want to set expectations for people who would be newer playing this. But any of our experienced runners would look at this and go, oh, that is a jet seed. And a lot of that is the random chests. And I find 8 or 9 times out of 10, just having completely random chests winds up with you getting better stuff, because there's not all the inherent garbage items from shuffling chests. Occasionally you will get a seed that's just like a million tonics and no good items, so it can be a bit of a crapshoot, but in general, you're gonna be fine. Oh no, Ultros. That's more like it. what Chupon is weak to. I think it might be lightning. Why don't we find out? I could also look at that document I have up, but in practice it wouldn't affect anything I'm gonna do. Because what I should do is actually just fight. Well, this is probably pretty much dead anyway. And if you do have a character with throw, just any weapon in a boss fight. And weaknesses are, like, a lot of weapons have elements on them, and if you throw it, it still recognizes that element and does the weakness damage. So you can get some very powerful damage, like I threw an Excalibur at something earlier. Doop, doop, doop. That was probably unnecessary and dumb. And then as long as we don't have... level am I? I'm a fine level. This is a chest. Somewhere here. There it is. It's not a chest I ever get, but it's in the middle here. And it's a goddess. One thing weird about goddess is usually if you fight her, she'll do a thing, love token or something, that makes you take damage for her. That's it. The offering ignores that. I don't know why. Final Fantasy VI is a weird game. But normally, if I had done any other physical attack, that just would have been damage straight to Terra. The other thing about the offering that is weird is you can't miss if you're holding it. Well, you can see my damage going up there every time I get hit. That is why Valiant Knives are good. And so with a muscle belt and an HP plus 100% Esper on her for most of the race, we have a level 40 Terra with 7,000 health. Which is a lot. Let's just go with it's a lot. So Terra's probably the one that we're going to want to put Fenrir on. She will survive. Well, actually, I probably want to put it on with Celeste, but whatever. Yeah, you can do pretty much whatever you want with this seed, Hobo Jim. Like, you could look at the start and go, oh, there's dragon horns and dragoon boots around and lances. I'll make dragoons. Or just at least one. I think I found a second Valiant Knife at some point, and 2 offerings. Just hit him. You might as well cast a spell and you can just hit him. I explained Merton earlier. I guess I'll throw in another explanation. Merton is an attack that hits everything on the board for quite a high battle power, or magic power. It can't miss, it ignores reflect, and it just does a lot of damage. It is fire and wind element, so if you have protection from those, you're pretty much good to go. Like, there's not much the game can do to stop you. The trick is that it is fire and wind, so a Thunder Shield will negate the damage from it, as well as an Ice Shield will, because it negates fire. Fire Shield's your best bet, because it will heal you while damaging the enemy. Well, yeah, Merton can be ridiculous if you can get it to be pulled off in a seed. Probably should have morphed, but whatever. Why did I send Celeste? Oh, right, because she's got the Genji. So the smart thing to do here is actually morph. Morph Every time you gain MP, like magic points, magic learning points at the end of a battle, it goes into how much morph you can do. Once you get a certain amount of MP, the morph gauge comes up, and the more MP you get, the longer the morph gauge lasts. So she's gonna morph into a Chancellor because I think it's hilarious. So she will do now double physical and magic damage, and I think it adds to your defense somehow. But the important thing is, the more MP you've gained, the slower that bar goes down, and also if you sit in a menu, which I can't do because my 2 controllable characters died, if you sit in a menu, it stops the bar from going down. It acts the same as a general ATB gauge. So you can see it's going down very slowly because it's so full. But now I'm going to sit in here because I don't want it to go down at all. So, considering how much MP you get in this game with the multiplied MP... Actually, no, sorry, that's not a thing. It specifically ignores that because morph used to be ridiculous. Now it's still just one of the best abilities. But if you're fighting reasonably high tier bosses, you can get away with morphing pretty much every fight. I just haven't had to for any reason, because the seed gave me all the nicest things. And we're off to Final Kefka at the 2 hours 8 minute mark. I foresee a fairly short Kefka fight. This is one of the more knowledge-based bits of the game, how you deal with Final Kefka. And I should point out that there are 2 solid there's my exploits guide, which is, it tells you what everything does and blah blah blah. Jack also made like a picture, which shows you, it's not as in-depth, but it shows you the basics of what you can do here. Another thing to note is almost all parts of it are floating, so if you have a sniper, it will proc the throw thing that it does. Realm and Mog, and then I want Strago and Edgar, and then I don't care. Probably not going to lose any people, though. Snipers have a thing where if an enemy is flying, it will... If it's flying, there's a chance to proc, like, it straight up procs throw and does a crap load of damage. And almost every part after, like, these 2 hands, and maybe the face, everything else is flying, or floating, or I don't know how the game says that mechanic in the background, but it's that. And then, most parts of it are human, so if you have a man-eater, which is a dagger that does extra damage to human enemies, that can do quite a lot of damage as well. It's very funny to throw in Kefka's face at the end, because it will usually do 10k if you're a decent level. So this first part, you want to kill the hand, the bottom left hand, and the head first. I think I know Doom on someone. Okay, this is something you might not think of, but that sap or slip or whatever the thing that makes that do damage to you is called will follow you through each of the tiers. Not every status effect will. So if you get to Final Kefka at the top, tier 4, and you're still suffering from sap and he does Fallen One, you will just die. So take care of that immediately so you don't forget with a remedy. Do you have Doom? Ah, screw it, I'll just hit it. But the hand and the head, if they're the last thing remaining of the boss, will counter with nasty things. I think the head does... The head does quake and the hand does a bunch of shockwaves, I think. The head is also weak to fire. How dare you! I'll also just remembered something I could be doing to make this a lot easier. Multi-summon is on. It's a thing I often forget, but you can summon once per tier. Or, sorry, you can summon every tier if it's one of these just helpful things you can do. And not getting hit is nice. Usually towards the end of the game, if it's not quite an annoying... Ah, that image went away pretty quickly, didn't it? I don't 100% remember how image works in this game. I think it's every time you get a miss, it has a chance to run out. Well, you can instant death the bottom left hand. That's why I was looking for Doom a minute ago. I think Terra's the one that knows Doom for some reason. Shadows nothing. Did I give you... Oh, Fog knows Doom. Once we get to the second part, the middle bit, tools can also be doomed. Ideally, you'd have Cleave or an Air Anchor, both of which can't miss. But the Doom spell or Raiden or Odin, I don't think they're weak to Petrify, so it has to be Doom. X-Zone will also work. Proc from Doom Darts if you're lucky. That style of thing. So priorities here are tools, the middle part at the top, and Tiger, the big tiger face at the bottom right. The tiger face can make you into a zombie, and the middle part can use freeze on you, or North Cross, or whatever you want to call it. N Cross, which freezes your party, and the other thing you can do to make this easier, if you know it, is you can mute magic, the back part. Huh. First try. I'll take it. So my general priorities here are, if you have Doom or some other instant death ability, kill tools right away. Tiger is the second most important, and then people tend to have arguments about which of hit and magic are the more dangerous part. I usually like to kill hit first, because 10 hits, the thing he does when he dies, can just knock out one of your characters pretty easily. And I prefer to have the chance to heal them before I kill magic. But magic has access to almost every spell in the game, so he can do crazy things that really mess with you. In this case, since I have Fenrir and multi-Esper summon is on, I can just use that and not have to worry about 10 hits. I have to keep pausing to explain some of these things. You may notice I'm going into my menu a lot. That is because once you have a bunch of things queued up, or all your characters are at the top of their gauge, if you go into the menu, for the same reason that morph doesn't decrease, if you're in the menu, the enemy's ATB bar doesn't go up. So all these animations and stuff that take a while, they're the reason that people don't like haste and don't think speed is a very good stat. But if you sit in the menu while animations are playing out, the enemy attacks less, basically. Well, that's not ideal. I thought it was tools that did that, but I guess it's Tiger. Tools and Tiger don't do anything to you when they die, they just die. Hit will do 10 hits on you, and magic will use some combination of Dispel and Dispel and Quarter. If I had access to a fire spell, I could cure Terra of being frozen by casting it at her. That is not a thing today. So Terra just gets punched in the face. I will go sit in the menu. And then we'll fight. Fight. I don't think I have to be too worried about that. There's a lot of procs in this battle. And if Tara gets a chance to hit anything, she's gonna do so much damage. Like an extra 5,000 a shot. Oop. That should be the end of him. Sometimes he just likes to cast multiple dispels, so it can be hard to tell when he's actually dead. Also, one thing you do have to keep track of is how much MP you have, even if you're not actually generally using spells. If you're using MP crits, it does take an amount every hit. Someone told me it was 16, so that number stuck in my head, but it's not 16. It's a number. Around 16. I think it varies. Okay, so. Strategy for this. Girl, the top bit, absorbs every element, so you need non-elemental things to hurt her. And if you kill her first, she doesn't cast life 2 on the other dude, because if you kill Sleep, the bottom part, first, she will cast life 2 on it and bring him back to life. And that's no good. Other bit is when Sleep dies, he will use Calmness, which you dodge using your physical evade. So if you have Golem, like it's a physical attack. So if you have Golem, who just takes damage for you, it can't kill you. If you have Fenrir, cast Image on you, it can't hit you. Or if you just have a crapload of physical evade like Celeste does with her double Luminas, pretty unlikely to hit you. So that's why Fenrir and Golem are so well regarded. Phantom also can be used, but it's a dangerous game. You have to cast it right before you kill the dude, or he will probably meteor you in the face for a stupid amount of damage. Yeah. I can probably one-shot him. If Tara gets a chance to act without being hit, he's straight up dead. Don't have to worry about Condemned. That goes away between here and Tier 4. And this should be well over 40k damage. 7,500 a shot, approximately. So not quite what I wanted, and I think I just screwed up there. Please miss Tara. Good. No more train. That's not ideal. There it is. He's got 40k health, so I just mathed a bit wrong. And once he gets below 12k or something, he starts countering with Meteor. So you do want to be a bit more careful with that than I just was. Tara is now blind, but also pretty much dead. So she's going to do... She can two-shot Kefka. If she had a Genji glove, she could one-shot Kefka. And since this is going to go really fast, Kefka has something like 60,000 health, 62,000 health. He has breakpoints at 35k and 60k-ish. At 35k, he will do Beyond Chaos and start countering you with Havoc Wing and nasty stuff. At 60k-ish, he will start countering you with Ultima. Those numbers are written in the guides. So basically, as long as you count and he's not generally an ass, then he's not that hard to get through. Tier 2 and Tier 3 are mostly where the races are won or lost. Not super often you find Tier 4 actually killing people. So that's 30-ish thousand. And we're straight into Beyond Chaos, and he's gonna die. Just go all out. should be a dead captain. For cat. So, that is the end of that seed, I guess. It will be available in the Discord soon enough. I don't know if anybody has any remaining questions for me to answer while I'm here, but that'll pretty much be the end. I can't think of much else to say at the moment. I guess the other thing about Illuminas is, even though everyone is blind, they're all holding Illuminas, same as the offering. It ignores the fact that it can miss, based on blindness. It always hits. So you can just ignore blindness if you have an Illumina. I used to think it was based on MP crits, but no, it's just the Illumina is a ridiculous, ridiculous piece of gear. So yeah, that's going to be it probably for me then. My tracker's now going to say I have 14 characters because of the end cutscene, I guess. But yeah, I guess I'll throw... I mean, it's unlikely anybody's in here who isn't already in the Discord, because why would they be? But, oh, it doesn't even have a link in there, does it? I don't have a link off the top of my head, so... 6wc.com. There's the randomizer. Well, take off one of those W's, maybe. 6wc.com. Go there. Try it out if you haven't. There's more of these Moogle's first seed things laying around. I think Revlin did 2 official ones and then 1 weird one. This seed will be available in the Discord shortly. And yeah, I guess thanks for tuning in. If you want to give me a follow on Twitch, my name again is MrEntity. MrEntity. I guess that's it. We'll see you for the next one. I guess tune in tomorrow for KGP Week 4. I will be commentating that. It will be on this channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which I think is -5 UTC or GMT, whichever one you want to go with. And then Saturday over on Randomania, we have our weekly community race. Also at 7 p.m. ET, which is 12 in the morning if you live in GMT times. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you around.